All right, so here we are at Pratt Institute. I'm going to walk you through to Higgins Hall. So this is Higgins Hall at Pratt Institute, and I believe that this is where all the MFA studios were when Nicole was in school. I believe that they also housed architecture and multimedia, but I think that the grad studios were on the top 2 floors of this building, which has since been renovated. Nicole would have been up there for her MFA. We're going to walk about maybe 3 blocks down the street, which is the entrance to Pratt, and we're going to make a left to our old studio building. This is one of our favorite Chinese restaurants, Kung Kao, which is still here. You know, after all these years, used to really be the place to go for our cheap lunches. So this is our studio building, 122 Washington Avenue. We were on the 2nd floor. It looks to me like the whole place might have been renovated. Nights were spent here. Some late nights, and sometimes we slept over if it was too late and we were working. So our entrance was down here. I remember walking down here many a morning. Nicole was also on the 2nd floor with me. She was in the back, so you really can't see her windows from here. But this is one of our first studios in New York, and it was an absolutely wonderful, wonderful time for us. I first met Nicole in about 1987, 1988. I was working on an early Dutch abstract painting project with some curators, and I needed a translator. And my friend Peggy introduced me to Nicole. She was living in the Pratt neighborhood. I think she just finished her MFA at the time. And immediately after we did this work together, we became very good friends. And it was actually Nicole that got me my 2nd studio in New York City, which was on Washington Avenue in a park, and Nicole was in that space as well. You'll see images here today, hopefully, of the old studio space, which we knew and loved very closely and dearly. It was on the 2nd floor, very raw. There was no heat. Sometimes we had to put protection up for the winter wind and things like that, but we did a lot of work there, and there were about 8 of us that worked together in about 2,000 square feet. Nicole and I were a lot alike. We were both artists, you know, struggling very hard to survive in New York City. I had about 3 jobs at one time. Nicole was doing translation work, but that's when she also started, I'd say about 1990, to work for KLM Airlines, and she was a real genius of economy, Nicole. She managed to work out her schedule with KLM so that she could have like a month or 6 weeks off just to be in the studio uninterrupted to make her work. So it's very interesting to see how we all figured out this survival mechanism in New York. And it was about this time, 1990, 92, that Nicole's work was really taking off. She was doing these very wacky, humorous, and funny sculptures and installations in her studio, you know, using nylon stockings and rubber latex gloves and tea bags and inflatable swimming pools. And she had this beautiful poetic way of looking at everything that was available around her in her environment and using it to make art. So it was a delight to see her quirky curiosity in the studio, and we shared, you know, lots of moments together. She marveled at the waste in New York City and how you'd go to the grocery store and they give you 2 plastic bags instead of 1. She would laugh at herself a lot in the studio, saying, you know, I can't believe I'm making these wild things. And it was a wonder. It was a wonder for all of us that worked near her. It was really a pleasure. Another use of Nicole's brilliant economy was finding those everyday moments in everything that she did, including this job at KLM, and that's where Blue Notes from Thin Air came from. And that was, I was so immensely proud of her. It was one of the most beautiful projects I'd ever seen her do. She took this job situation in New York to be a real artist and to have another income was sort of unheard of. We sort of didn't talk about it. So the images from Blue Notes from Thin Air were poetic and lonely and quiet and melancholy and thoughtful. They were really about places on the plane and the experience of flight and travel and transition spaces and moving up in the air that were really unlike any images we had ever seen before. Their scale made them absolutely palpable. You felt as though you were really in the plane with her. There was one particular image of a hotel room with this blank, reflected sort of glare of a TV screen that was really one of my favorites, about entering this constant travel and hotel situation alone in an empty space. So we're very proud of her for that. And I'm very glad that Nicole was on this planet with me. And I was here, and I think about her often. And I consider that she is still here. I'm so happy about this archive.